morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
I'd like to remind everyone to please make sure that all cell phones are turned to the off or vibrate position. Also, please be advised our city council meetings are broadcast on television on Comcast Channel 99 and rebroadcast on WMGJ Radio. This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order. The chair calls on City Clerk Ivan Nelson for the roll call.
Councilwoman Toles.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
Worthy.
Here.
Eccles.
Here.
Billingsley.
Here.
Cannon.
Here.
And Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum present and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Toles to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
As everyone here composes their hearts and their minds and we focus on the Creator, Father, we thank you that today is a great day. It's a wonderful day to be alive, and we just thank you for it. We thank that you will allow us to let the words of our hearts and the meditation be acceptable in your sight. We thank you for this great city. We thank you for this great country. No matter what the challenges are, Father, we look to you from whence our health and our strength come. We thank you that as a council, we will transact the business that you would have us to do, decent and in order. We thank you for every council member, the mayor, the city officials, and all those who care about this great city. Thank you. We give you praise, we give you honor, and we give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and city council meeting held on May 8th.
So move. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payment of accounts for the week of May 4th through the 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Proclamations, Mayor.
Would like to ask Miss Betty Willoughby to come up, please. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives. Prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health condition. There is a strong research that diet, exercise, sleep, and stress management can help all Americans protect their health and well-being. Mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation. With effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. Each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizens shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental health wellness and support prevention efforts. Therefore, I, Sherman Guyton, Mayor of the City of Gadsden, do hereby proclaim May 2018 as Mental Health Month in the City of Gadsden. I call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in the City of Gadsden to recommit to our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions before stage 4.
Thank you, Mayor Guyton and Honorable Council. Mental Health America is a nonprofit agency and a proud partner with United Way. Our mission is to promote mental health awareness and treatment of mental illness through advocacy, education, support, and referrals. Some of the ways we accomplish this is by events and programs such as we're having today to educate the public of more awareness of mental illness. In the education field, we offer classes on stress and anger management, domestic violence prevention, and parenting classes. We work with the court system and with DHR for referrals as well as the general public. These classes are held weekly at Family Success Center where we are housed. We also teach our classes in the county school systems, the city systems, Etowah County Detention, and rehab facilities in the county. We work with CED Mental Health to support their clients, whether it may be with food, with clothing, medicines, or referrals. Our yearly Operation Santa Claus program, we ask for donations to buy Christmas gifts for those who are suffering with mental health issues. Last year, we gave more than 600 gifts. We also host a Christmas party for the clients of CED. And in this, we have a catered meal, we have Santa Claus, we have gift bags, and entertainment for them. And we decorate and try to make it a very festive occasion because for most of them, it's the only holiday celebration that they receive. We also work alongside other agencies to provide information and assistance to those that are in need of services. I want to thank you for the proclamation and for giving me an opportunity to share about Mental Health America. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of Mental Health America of Etowah, I want to thank Mayor Gadsden and the city for their support of Mental Health America. Thank you.
Take the sign off, Mayor. Mayor,
Sticky note.
sticky note.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate all you do for us.
No wonder you lost that football game.
All right. Item number 8 on the agenda is unfinished business, and we have none today. This is the time and place as advertised to conduct a public hearing allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of a resolution assessing nuisance abatement liens against property located at 401 South 11th Street in District 5, Sandra Beck being the last known owner. This is for grass cutting work that's already been performed, and the amount is $131. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor? What is the pleasure of the council?
I move to abate the nuisance.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
This is the time and place as advertised to conduct a public hearing allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of a resolution assessing nuisance abatement liens against property located at 1016 South 12th Street in District 5. Spencer Thomas Sr. being the last known owner. This is for grass cutting work that has already been performed, and the amount is $131. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor? What is the pleasure of the council?
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item number 11 is a resolution authorizing supplemental agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation. This is to add signal upgrades to the traffic signal system repairs project along Highway 431 within the city limits at the Highway 431 12th Street and Highway 411 and Emerson Street intersections. And the city's estimated cost is $19,657.99. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution?
I move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item number 12 is an ordinance presented today for first reading. It's amending the City Code, Section 18-122, pertaining to the meeting times of the Electrical Affairs Committee. This ordinance provides for meetings to occur quarterly instead of on an as-needed basis. The ordinance has been presented today for first reading, and the council will vote on it next week. New business, is there any new business?
I'm going first. Yes, I have, Mr. President, I have a request from Parks and Recreation Department. It has to do with an agreement for race crew to handle timing for the Barbarian Challenge, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
I move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
This is just timing that they always use, but the Barbarian Challenge is coming up and it's budgeted for $5,000.
Okay. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Is there any more new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to hear an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of property on East Broad Street to Kevin and Sylvia Ferguson for the amount of $12,000.
Second.
Okay. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we have unanimous consent for consideration.
I move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes, this is money that citizens are going to pay us for some property that the city owns, and it's in the amount of $12,000. So for once, we're getting money from citizens instead of paying for something that we've already done.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Okay. Is there any more new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have two. I'd like to ask unanimous consent, please, for a resolution authorizing change order number 1 for bid 3356 to Stephen Vaughn Construction for the East Gadsden Community Center, and it's budgeted of $350,000.
Second.
Okay. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
I move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Yes, this is a change order reflecting an additional cost of $350,000 for elevation areas in the original construction plans and to increase the contingency fund due to the poor subgrade conditions over there.
So for those that have been eyeballing this project from the sidelines, and there'll be a lot of that, the construction has had stalled to some degree while these details were worked out, but we should see things continue to move forward after the passing of this ordinance. Okay? All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Okay. Is there any more new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one more. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent, please. It's a resolution authorizing acceptance of a temporary construction easement from Robert and Pamela Bullock to determine if a culvert needs to be extended across their property. And this address is 3431 West Megan Boulevard in District 6.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
I move to adopt, please.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
All right, is there any more new business?
Yeah, Mr. President, I have two. The first one is ordinance 227.1, It's ordinance amending Article 3, collection and disposal by adding section 106-89, move-outs and evictions. Ask for unanimous consent to consider.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance today under new business, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, we have unanimous consent for consideration.
Okay, I move to adopt.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to ask for Mr. Hilton from Public Works to come forward and give us a synopsis of this ordinance, please.
Good morning, council. I'm Mike Hilton. I work with the Public Works Department with the city of Gadsden. Little history. Last year, things kind of came to a head over the last few years. I think most of you are aware of the issue that we have with large amounts of household clean-out debris, typically from a rental property where a tenant has been evicted or has moved away and the landlord wants to take all their stuff and get rid of it. There were no teeth in the current ordinances that we had that did not make it allowed that landlord could just pile all that stuff out on the side of the road, and then hopefully the city would come by at some point and pick that up. Presently, what we have is we do not pick up commercial debris. We pick up for residences only. We did get with the legal department and ask them if they could draft something. This is that draft. What this says is that in the future, commercial property, which includes rental property, the clean out of that between tenants would fall directly on the landlord. They would be responsible for making sure all that material is brought to the landfill. In the event that they do put that out there, which sometimes does happen, it will be a $1,000 fine. We feel like that fine is significant, it is substantial, and it should get the attention to make sure that property owner, as a business, understands the necessity of bringing that to the landfill themselves instead of the city having to come by and do it. Most of you are aware that when it sits out there for a very short period of time, other folks go through it, it gets strewn all over, and it really just messes the neighborhood up. So what we're hoping is that you guys will pass this in order to put a little teeth in the ordinance and clarify the ordinance so that it actually says this is the procedures that everyone's to follow. Most commercial entities know that we don't pick up for them. They're okay with that, and hopefully the rental folks will be on the same page. This is not for the people living in the rental house that puts out residential debris. That's a normal fee for us or normal action for us. This is for the clean out between tenant and tenant where there's a large amount of debris. Garbage and trash, it all gets put out there. Questions?
One thing, the $1,000 will be levied against the property until it's paid, or you can't rent it, right, until it is taken care of.
I believe as the ordinance is written, that before the property is rented again, it would be paid before that time, before it could be rented again. Lee may have more information on that.
And also, Mr. Hilton, I think a lot of our citizens don't realize we pay garbage fee, but we don't pay trash fee. And there's a difference. The trash that you put on the side of the road, you don't pay for that. But the garbage fee that's in your can, that's what you pay for. So all this other that we're picking that up for free. So the people need to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, let me add to that ordinance also, the effective date, should it pass, is June the 15th of this year.
Yes, sir. Mr. John Ashley, who is the rental inspector here with the city, we feel like it's important that he be able to contact these landlords and make sure that there isn't a change in the ordinances. That gives him 30 days to basically get with those guys and girls and make sure that they understand what's going on. We wouldn't want to just surprise them with it. So hopefully that'll be enough time there. And the enforcement of this, same thing. When we come across this, hopefully that'll take care of it. But when we do come across it, there will be a coordination between Public Works and the rental inspector to make sure that they understand what's going on, and hopefully things will move forward from there.
Very good.
Mike, is it necessary to speak to the impact this will have on remodeling debris as well, or trash?
Currently, in the ordinance as they are now, without this, the city does not pick up construction debris. If a contractor is working on your property, part of the issue with the building department when they know up front, any construction debris that's brought out during a remodeling or a building is to be delivered to the landfill at their expense by the contractor. This doesn't change that. It may add to that, and we may address that additionally later because there are some problems with that. So this doesn't have anything to do with that. That's an apple and an orange.
What's the time frame once you notify the owner they have to get the debris up?
The way the ordinance reads is that basically when there's a clean out, it is to be taken then. You would think reasonably, let's say you hired 2 different groups to do it, so a couple of guys to clean it out and a couple other guys to haul it off. You would think reasonably a couple of days should be sufficient for that. We're not going to look at anything longer than that. If we come across that or are notified of that in the neighborhood, we're going to immediately address that property owner. What are your plans here? We can't leave it out there. It's so unsightly and it's just terrible. We're going to have to get it up at some point. But if we have to get it up, look for a bill. That's basically what we're saying. A couple of days should be plenty of time to at least coordinate back and forth to when that's going to be removed in a timely manner and then go from there.
So we won't have to look at it for a week or 2?
I would think not.
Okay.
Let me also add to that, in the street that I live on, out of 12 houses, 7 of them are rental houses. And last summer, that happened, there was a truckload across the street from me. It stayed there for about a month until we figured out what was going on. And I think the guy that owns that property, you know, he's gonna make money out of that deal. He needs to pay for removing that stuff out of there. And I agree with this ordinance wholeheartedly, because somebody needs to pay for this stuff. And I mean, it was a house full of furniture. And you know, people in this block that I live in, they're working on cars, everything in the front yard, and got a backyard as big as this room here. But they want to park in the front yard. We've got to do something to keep our neighborhoods looking better, because they just look terrible with the way we allow these people to do. And it's renters. It's not people that own houses, it's rental people. So
It is our desire at Public Works that this $1,000 fine never be levied, that the ordinance and the folks are informed, and that it's basic economics. It's going to be cheaper to handle it themselves, and that's what we're hoping this does.
Mike, as I understand it, we are going to give due notifications. We started today, and we will have future notifications. And along those lines, remember, we've been told, and I believe it now, we're going to have enforcement of this ordinance.
That is our goal, yes, sir.
That's the goal.
I have a question. Now, how much can they put out at a time? If they put a little bit out at a time, we'll still pick that up, correct?
If it is a commercial entity, if it's a business, not a residence.
No, I'm not talking about
apple and
residence.
orange. If it's a renter that's living in the house and they work in the backyard, clean out the storage building and put something out there, we're going to get that. If it is a commercial owner or a property owner that is renting the business and they put anything out there, this addresses that we're not to get that. It's 2 different things. We
Oh,
do
so you're not gonna pick up anything if it's rental?
If we are made aware that it's because of this ordinance that's out there, then of course we would address it at that point. The reality is, we'll talk reality here, if a truck driver, the guy in the truck comes by and there's, you know, a sofa sitting out there, he doesn't know that that's a clean out or not, he's gonna pick up that sofa. He wants the neighborhood to be picked up. That's not what we're talking. You folks have sent me pictures of what this is about, and that's directly what this is addressing. A rental clean out, and we've probably all seen it, unfortunately, throughout town. No one's exempt.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And under that ordinance that I proposed, to simplify, the effective date will be June the 15th.
Okay.
It's amazing to me, like the other day, I was riding around through one of the neighborhoods. There was chest of drawers, part of a bed, some springs, and all that. It's right at the intersection. It was laying on the railroad tracks. Somebody just pulled up and dumped it. And, you know, the other municipalities will charge you anywhere from $25 to $50 to come pick up the trash in front of their house. And we don't do that. We do it free. And, you know, if we want to have a clean city and, you know, the worse a neighborhood looks, the more crime you're going to have in it. That's just the way it is. People move in, they don't care, they move out. But we've got to do something. This will be on 99 in the media, Facebook. All of it will be explained. And, you know, we need to get together and make it cleaner. When I first got elected, they were told that we had 3 or 4 years before we'd have to do a landfill. Well, we're on our 3rd one now, and it's very expensive by the time you do all the environmental stuff and get a landfill ready. So we'll be cracking down on this. So if somebody moves out of your rental thing and piles it up out front for us to get, you better get it if you own the house.
Call for the vote.
Thank you. All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Okay, is there
Mr.
any more
President.
new business?
Yes, there is. I have one more. It's Resolution 241, authorizing change order number 1, the amount of $40,000 for the Black Creek Pedestrian Bridge Project at Noccalula Falls Park. Ask for unanimous consent to consider.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Now move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Okay, is there any more new business? Department reports, committees, boards?
Mike right there.
If you will indulge me, again, Mike Hilton with the Public Works Department. Just a quick update. If anyone hasn't looked outside, the grass is growing. We are currently in grass cutting mode. Probably the biggest topic of conversation is nuisance abatement cutting. Basically, these are vacant lots, vacant houses, rundown houses that the Building Department or the Nuisance Department has identified where the grass is too tall. They have already, with all their investigators, identified many of these lots and have sent a list to us to start cutting. We started cutting about a week ago. We have probably cut, as of today, a little over 100 lots. We started in the North Gadsden area and the Tuscaloosa Avenue area, and we'll be working through town. Ask you to bear with us as we cut these and work through town and get to them. There are a lot of phone calls coming in about these top lots. Typically, if they come to Public Works, we send those to the nuisance abatement number with the Building Department, 256-549-4529. Would just ask you to express to your constituents when they call you about that it is in the process. Anytime there's an address that the grass is over a foot tall, if they will notify the nuisance abatement folks about that, they'll get them on the list. The process, it takes anywhere from, a couple of weeks, 10 days to a couple of weeks before it gets to us, and then we'll work those in the rotation. In Public Works, we have approximately 140 employees, part-time and full-time. We have just between a third and a half of those employees dedicated each summer to cutting grass. We hope that the residences understand that according to the current ordinances that we have, grass is to be cut from the middle of the alley to the edge of the pavement. That includes all right-of-ways and easements. If there's a drainage ditch going through your yard, you're to maintain that as far as grass and weeds go, just like your yard. The middle of the alley, all the way to the front of the street, that's yours. If there's a ditch in front of your house, you cut up to the ditch and through the ditch up to the edge of the pavement. That doesn't happen all the time. I do have bush hogs and sidearms that travel through town all the time, all summer long, working in one area or the other. And if we come across tall grass, we cut it. This year with nuisance cutting, the price has gone up, kind of like the other ordinance that we talked about. If we get in your pocketbook, typically you're going to do the work yourself a little more actively, and we're hoping that's going to help out on this too. But just a quick update, we are cutting grass. We've got a lot of folks dedicated to it. We will have some school kids coming. School's out end of May. I've got 12 more kids coming that will be putting those 12, 3 at a time or 2 at a time with individuals and put them in different districts to cut some areas that probably we're not by ordinance supposed to cut, but nobody's going to. We want to kind of clean things up and help where we can. Those folks will be coming. They'll be working from June, July, and about the middle of August. Doing a lot of spraying this time also to try to keep us from having to come back more than once to the same location. If you have any questions about grass cutting, what we do, you can call me or our folks at the office at 256-549-4704, and we'll be happy to explain how the ordinance reads and what we can and can't do to help you out with grass. Questions?
No question, but I have a comment. I would like for us, this ordinance was passed back in the 80s, I understand, for us to revisit it, because in District 3, we have a lot of seniors that live in District 3, and they're on a fixed income, and they cannot pay to cut their alleys and also their ditches. Because I have one that's about a 10 to 12-foot drop right there on Brookside. I believe you went out and spoke with them about that. And there's no way, you know, I think one of the ladies said when she was younger, she was able to cut it. But, you know, now she can't do that. So I wish we would revisit that. And I don't know if y'all, I get a lot of complaints in District 3 about alleys and these ditches. So maybe we need to look at that. Because I know back when we had the contract in 2013, they was cutting alleyways. So we just need to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can I
Can I say something,
oh,
please?
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
On the lots, if you live in a house and you got a vacant lot next door and nobody's cutting it, if you'll call City Hall, Building Department, and ask about it, the address, you want to buy it, you keep it cut, we'll sell it cheap.
If we're gonna address those alleys, like Councilman Worthy said, we'd have to hire some more people, because we're barely keeping up with the grass and the lots we've got now. So that's something to.
You wouldn't have to hire anybody else if we go back to the contractor. They had 3 crews cut. So, but that's fine.
Yeah, we had a contract, and we're cutting about 1,000 more lots than we had before. And so, you know, that's pretty much, we're doing it in-house, and we're doing all we can. I guarantee you one contractor can't cut what we cut.
And let me ask you this, Mayor, since you're going there, how many crews do the city have cutting nuisance and abatement lots? Two. That's what Mike said. Okay, the contract had 3. So how can the city keep up with, if we done doubled the lots versus the contract? That's all I want to know.
I'll get with Hilton and we'll find out the facts. I don't know, is that person related to you, or is he
No, that
running for
person is
office
not
or
related to
something?
me.
You carrying his water every week?
No, I'm not carrying this water, but I get the complaints. You don't get the complaints in District 3 about the.
I talked to more people today than you talked to
You
in 2
probably do.
weeks.
Do you talk to them
Call
from
to
District
order.
3?
Call to order. Call to order.
I get the
Point of order.
complaints from District 3.
Point of order. Point of order. We're gonna
And
move
now, if he
on.
can talk, I can talk.
We're gonna move
Simple.
on.
Now, I get the complaints from District 3.
Point of order. We're gonna move on. Remarks by the mayor and council. Councilman Reed.
Okay. I do want to welcome Caden Doremus this morning to our meeting. He brought along his dad, Curly Doremus. Thank you, Caden. We appreciate it. Caden is a 2nd grader and an AB student. Good boy, Caden. Thank you, buddy. That's all.
Councilman Cannon.
Appreciate it. I just want to talk about political signs on city right-of-way. If you're, put a sign up, make sure it's on private property, not on city right-of-ways. We've got a bunch around stop signs and hung on telephone poles, and we're fixing to start picking those up, and Public Works is fixing to start picking them up. And if you get a call or you're missing some of your signs, you can go out to Public Works in East Gadsden or call out there. That's where you'll find them. All political signs are supposed to be on private property, not on right-of-ways. That's all we got.
Councilman Billingsley.
Oh, yes, I'd like to tell the people about, I went last Friday and visited the venue in East Gadsden there, and that's going to be a tremendous asset to this city. They explained and showed me things that the convention hall does not have, and I just think that that's going to be a big asset to us, because I had a meeting last night, community meeting, and they want to know why everything's going to East Gadsden. I said, well, in my district, we don't have enough space to build a building like that and have parking facilities. But sometimes citizens don't understand how much money it costs to do these things. And it takes 7 of us to do that. It's not one. It's everybody working together. And we might disagree sometimes, but basically, it's a coordination of the people up here. And I just like for everybody to just understand that we're trying to do the best that we can. You might not agree with us, but we're trying to work together to get this city on a better footing. That's all.
Councilman Worthy.
Yes. I'm not even going to talk about grass anymore right now, but I do think we need to make some changes there, and I'll just drop it at that. But we're working to try to make things better, not only in District 3, but in the whole city. But we just got to continue to try to come together and work. We're not going to agree with everything. Like me and the mayor don't agree on that. I think we need to have a contractor that's cut. And that'll relieve a lot of the pressure on Public Works, because they really cannot keep up. You know, we have a contractor to cut City Hall, Convention Hall, and several other city-owned properties. So that's not out of the question. But anyway, I just want to say, we had a lot of people complaining about the 4th Avenue basketball court over there, and we knocked it down. And whatever councilman want in their district, I'm gonna support that. I don't throw a rock and hide my hand. I'm gonna support it because they know what's best for their district better than I do, and I expect the same from the rest of the council. But we have some people that's going around and saying this and that, but it's okay. And there's this group out there that's, you don't have to go out and lie on me. I make enough mistakes, you know, just you can fight me on my record. I don't have a problem with that, but you don't have to lie on me. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Thank you.
Mr. Eccles? Councilwoman Toles?
I'd just like to welcome Minister Frazier and his wife. They're out visiting us, and their friend. We thank them for coming. And I'd just like to appreciate all of you that come to City Council because you're taking an interest in government. And to Councilman Billingsley, East Gadsden is on the river, so we're going to develop the river. And that's something that I've wanted even before the mayor came. In fact, I challenged Steve Means. I said, we've got a river and nothing is happening on it. So that means that if you're excited or not excited, then I suggest you move to East Gadsden where the happenings are.
All right. Mayor?
I don't have it.
All right, one announcement. It's due to the Alabama League of Municipalities Conference. The city will not meet next week, and that's May 22nd. The regular schedule for the work session and council meeting will resume on Tuesday, May 29th. Okay? And I feel like I've given, this is probably the 8th year in a row I've had to give this little speech, but I feel like it's necessary. If you are one of those people that's inclined to get upset about grass cutting, then I want to encourage you to go ahead and get upset and plan to get upset every year, regardless as to who is your elected official, because we have a very unique situation in terms of our environment and the unique and the very almost perfect storm for grass and of light and rain, and especially this time of the year. And we have historically, I cannot remember a time, even predating my elected status, I can't remember a time when people didn't call, me being one of them, didn't call and complain about grass. And it just boggles. It really boggles me to watch us get worked up and all concerned about grass. I mean, it's gonna happen, guys. And I tell people often, you know, if that's what you're gonna get upset with me about, go ahead and do it now, because there's not a whole lot I can do about that, and I apologize in advance. You know, it's gonna happen, all right? And we're, you know, whether you're talking, no matter what model we employ, people are going to try the best they can to keep up. We have the state of Alabama to think for a lot of the load that we're encountering, because we're cutting their grass for free, and they're not giving us anything. So there are hundreds of lots that we're having to maintain, and I just want to encourage people. You know, again, that what I'm saying doesn't mean that you should not pick up the phone and call and report an overgrown lot. You should. That's how the process works. But please understand that the timing may not always be to your liking in terms of them following through and being able to get to it. I can tell you I ride by several, and I give Public Works a piece of my mind when I see them. But I understand that from a timing perspective, they've only got so much bandwidth, and they can only do so much at a time, so much equipment, so many people, so many days, sunny days where they can actually get out there and cut. And by the time you get them all cut, you gotta start all over again. So please understand that. I mean, again, you know, it's grass, all right, and it's grass. And let's not spend too much time talking about grass cutting, okay?
Let me emphasize one thing. Inside the city, there are 900 lots to be cut each year. We have to cut them 3 times. That's 2,700 cuts in 1 year. Somebody needs to be cutting their own grass. And on this other thing, if the state of Alabama came in and paid their part on grass cutting, we could probably double our efficiency. So it's something to think about. We're not gonna get anywhere with it, but that's primarily where most of our time goes, is in cutting grass with the state.
All right,
Basically.
but thanks to each of you here that are present here for just hearing us out as it relates to that, and please understand. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Good guy.